Hi there, Alec from VacuumSpot. I'm going to show you how to do a motor replacement on a Dyson DC19. It's my first time doing a motor replacement on a DC19, so hopefully it'll go smooth. First thing we do is just clear out the bits and pieces like your filters. Now remove your bottom filter cover. You can see here, you can see all that carbon and material down there. This machine doesn't even make a sound when you plug it in, but all that is the actual carbon brushes just disintegrating. So that's a very, very clear telltale sign that the motor brushes are gone. Hence the motor is gone. Okay, so now we get this cover off. So we just little screwdriver in here and just lever it, and that's off. Wheels, simply screwdriver in between the wheel and the housing and push off. Okay. Now we've got half a dozen screws to get. I can assure you when I do these when there's no camera, it goes so much more smoothly because I'm not working backwards to myself. That's what I need. I need a GoPro to do these. It's a head-mounted camera, so I can actually video myself. Oh my god, I'm going to get one. GoPro. For the makers of GoPro out there, or the resellers, hey, if you want to mention on one of these highly commercial viable videos, send me a GoPro. I'll give you a big shout out. Alright, so now we've got 6 screws out. We will have just a moment. Before you take the back housing off, give yourself a metre of cord. That allows you to move that out of the way, and then we can just pull out the components and do an easy swap. Okay, so retract out, motor bucket out. Now, what we've got to do is just release these little clips. So just one at a time. There we go. Note, see that little arrow? That's going to point to where the switch is roughly. So just remember that, put it aside. Now, our motor is out, and you can see inside here, you've just got carbon and all sorts of crap where that has just failed. Okay. So now we grab out our new motor. Our internal code is MO44. And you'll notice I'm actually using a motor with a shaft. I know some people say to cut the shaft off, which you can do, but there's not really any point because this has a motor riser. So the shaft sits inside there and it's of no consequence whatsoever. So connect him up as we go. Okay, old motor out. Now, inside the motor bucket, you'll see we've got our 3-pointed locator, the female part, and here we have the male. Instead of dropping this in, it's far, far easier to position it over. So what you've got to do is kind of sit these cords just around, out of the way, like so. And then as you're looking through here, you line up the position of your locator and it will sit in like that, and then it's good to be flipped back around. Okay, just check that you've got no cords caught in the halfway point, and then as I said before, the arrow is lining up with the little switch assembly. Okay, so with that in place, That's it. Now I didn't even have to remove the cords, so they're all sitting exactly as they were. So you'll notice here we've got a rubber seat which needs to line up with the base of the housing, and these have to sit in all the way. Otherwise, when you put the lid back on, it just doesn't sit neatly. And you'll also notice that the switch here has these little positioning grooves. They have to slide all the way in. Okay, so motor goes in, and that gives you enough cord to get the switch to sit in. There we go. So the switch, if you have a look like this, it actually is just sitting underneath this jutty out bit. Okay, now we haven't moved the cord retract, so there's no cord come off the spool. So this, we're lining up this tongue with the female part down here. So it has to sit in there, or it's going to stick out, and again the base won't fit on properly. Okay, at this point give it a little test. The cord should move freely. Okay, now worth noting, see how the cords are a bit messy around here? Just hanging out, just tuck them in. Okay, because the body sits around this part here, and if the cords are there, again, it won't close properly. And on this side, we just tuck that inside that little cavity. So that's it. So now it's a case of positioning this, making sure that's still sitting perfect, and at the same time as you take up the slack of your cord, you lift the machine up. What this does is allow the motor to center, and that makes it smooth. So at this point you can see I've got no gaps around the machine. That's what you want. So holding it together, I like to do the center ones up first, although I'm sure it doesn't make that much difference, and then move to the points furthest away. So down this side, if you've got to force it to close, it's not going to work properly. You'll be shutting a cord in a gap or something like that, and you will cause it harm. So just if it's forced, needing to be forced, what you've got to do is pull it apart and have another go. At this point now it's all firm. Check your cord retract. If that doesn't zip back in easily, again you've got a problem, something's not lining up correctly. Okay, now at this point you can safely check to see that the machine is working before you put the wheels and everything back on. Save you the trouble if you've made a mistake when you put the motor in and the plug slipped off or something. So that is good. Wheels simply press on. Now anytime you change a motor, you're going to want to change the filters. It's very much like putting a new motor in a car and then reusing the old oil. I'm not going to now, I'm going to make a separate video. But this just simply sits in place, and you squeeze it and press until that lines up. Inlet filter in, exhaust filter, and whatever that bit's called. Pressing that in nice and soft because that can be brittle. And now I can actually plug it in and have a feel that the suction is good. Alright, suction is excellent, it sounds smooth, good repair. So that is how to change a motor on a Dyson DC19 by Alec at VacuumSpot. Hey, if this was helpful, please hit like on the video or subscribe to the channel. That's another great tip from Alec at VacuumSpot.